So, guys, with Cowboys training camp finally here, we're about to get our first real look at what Christian Parker's defense is actually going to become. Throughout the offseason, we've talked about the new additions, the scheme changes, and the talent on this roster. But now, none of that matters unless the right players step up at the right positions. There are several key battles that could completely shape this defense heading into Week 1, and how those competitions unfold could have a major impact on Christian Parker's first season in Dallas. So, let's break down the biggest training camp battles that could define the future of this Cowboys defense. What's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Cowboys. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. All right, let's start with the one that I think is the most important battle on the entire defense, and that's the outside corner spots. Look, I think both starting jobs are truly up for grabs here, and there are basically three guys fighting for them. The real competition is between DaRon Bland, Cobie Durant, and Siobhan Revel. You've got Devin Moore in the mix too. Let's start with the guy who has been here for the longest, DaRon Bland. Honestly, he just has not looked like himself in the last 2 seasons. Injuries have been the biggest problem for him, plain and simple. I want to see him healthy on day 1 of camp. I want to see him get back to that old form, the guy who was picking off passes left and right. Because if he does not bounce back, man, that is a lot of wasted money sitting on the books. Then you have Cobie Durant, the newest addition of the 3, coming over from the Los Angeles Rams. He had some good moments and some rough ones in 2025 out there in LA. They overhauled that secondary and let him walk, and Dallas scooped him up. I think he raises the floor of this cornerback room. Honestly, he played better last year than DaRon Bland and Siobhan Revel did. His ceiling might be a touch lower than Bland at his best, but right now, floor matters a lot. And then there is Siobhan Revel, and I have got high hopes for him. I really want him to emerge this year. The best case scenario for this defense is that Bland bounces all the way back and Revel has himself a true breakout season. That is exactly where we thought we would be a year ago too. Remember, everybody was saying Bland is going to be great and Revel is going to be a future star. And then last year just did not happen that way. It's kind of stunk, honestly. It was a wasted season for him. He was not confident out there, and he made that pretty clear himself. He is already 25 years old, which is a bit older for where he is at in his career since he came out as an older rookie. So, look, this is go time for Siobhan Revel. If he does not break out this season, we are going to be sitting here again next offseason saying the Cowboys have to go get some help at corner. So here is my prediction. It is not as clean as it is on offense because there is a lot more competition to sort through here. I think all 3 of these guys end up playing meaningful snaps at some point this season. But for Week 1, Snap 1, I am going with DaRon Bland and Cobie Durant on the outside. Who do you think is the best corner on this roster? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Now let's shift over to the edge rusher rotation, because this might be the deepest room on the whole defense. Rashawn Gary is locked in as one starter, no real debate there. But everything else, the roles, the roster spots, the snap counts, is genuinely up for grabs. It comes down to a big 3 battling it out: Gary, Donovan Ezeriwaku, and Malachi Lawrence, with Sam Williams also in that conversation. And speaking of Malachi Lawrence, I am hoping he carves out a real role as a rookie. Ideally, that first-round pick shows a lot of promise early. But I also do not think it is fair to expect the rookie to suddenly be your best pass rusher on day 1. The more likely breakout, honestly, is Donovan Ezeriwaku. He showed a ton of promise as a rookie last year before hitting that wall a little bit as the whole defense struggled around him. I have pretty good expectations for him heading into this season. I am not quite as high on Sam Williams. I think he is basically guaranteed a roster spot, and I hope he plays better than he did in 2025. That torn ACL really stung because a lot of us thought he was primed for a breakout year, and now you wonder how many more chances he gets. Still, those 4 guys, Gary, Ezeriwaku, Lawrence, and Williams, are unquestionably the 4 most likely to contribute for this defense this season. Now let's talk about the rest of that room, because there is a real fight happening there too. James Houston was a key piece of this defense last year, but nothing is guaranteed for him in this scheme that asks more from edge players and run support, which has never really been his strength. His sack totals look nice on paper, but I do not think he is regarded quite as highly as those numbers suggest, and we saw that pattern back in Detroit too. Maurice Lufau is someone I am not ready to give up on. I genuinely hope he plays well, and I have had him on my radar for a while. But I get a little anxious wondering if he ends up being a back of the roster guy. It seems unlikely he lives up to that draft capital given where this room stands. But hey, everybody gets a fresh start with new coaching staff. Then there is Charles Snowden dealing with a suspension to open the year. He has to earn his role fast once eligible, or the team just moves on from him early. And do not sleep on Tyrus Wheat. Dallas brought him back in free agency, and he fits what Christian Parker wants to do. Plus, he brings real special teams value. I think he has a better shot at making this roster than people realize. So here is my prediction for the group. Rashawn Gary, Donovan Ezeruaku, Malachi Lawrence, and Sam Williams all make the team, with James Houston grabbing that final spot as we sit here today. We will see how camp shakes things up, but that is where I land right now. Next up, let's talk about defensive tackle number 3, because behind Otito Ogbonnia and Kenny Clark, there is a real battle for that rotational role. Jonathan Bullard and LT Overton are the two other names competing for snaps when this defense goes to 5-man fronts and those starters need a breather. Let's start with the guy I would call the favorite right now, Otito Ogbonnia. He was signed before Bullard, and he carries a bit more guaranteed money, not a ton, but enough to matter. He fits nicely because he can play the nose, he can play 3 technique, and he can handle that 4-5 technique role too. That kind of versatility is exactly what this scheme wants. Jonathan Bullard actually has more production over the last couple of seasons. He also has some familiarity working with this staff from his time in Minnesota. He can play 3 technique, he can play some base end too, but he does not quite offer the same nose guard ability that Ogbonnia brings to the table. And then LT Overton fits a somewhat similar role to Bullard, since he played defensive end down at Alabama. A lot of people project him as a pure edge rusher, but honestly I like him more in that base end 5 technique role inside. I think that fits him much better than lining up on the edge full time. So, in my opinion, Otito Ogbonnia opens the season as defensive tackle number 3, but honestly, all 3 of these guys are going to see real playing time this year. There is even a chance the Cowboys keep all of them on the roster together. Let me know in the comments, fill in the blank for me. The Cowboys will have blank defense in the league this year. Alright, let's move to the linebacker room because this one might be the most important battle of them all when it comes to who runs this whole defense. It sounds like D. Winters is going to handle the weak side linebacker spot, the same role he played before he got to Dallas. But the bigger question is, who wears the green dot and runs the middle? Right now, it sounds like that job belongs to DeMarvion Overshown, who would become the lead linebacker for this entire defense. Dallas also brought in Jayshon Barham through the draft and Curtis Robinson in free agency, with Langston Patterson fighting for a roster spot as an undrafted rookie. But I really want to focus on Overshown, Barham, and Shamar James here, because those feel like the 3 guys most likely to be key pieces of this room going forward. The ideal outcome, and I want to stress ideal here because there is still a lot to sort out, is that Overshown just handles it all. He stays healthy, he commands the huddle, he becomes the guy wearing the green dot, and it is not much of a debate after that. Overshown and Winters are out there for almost every snap in base linebacker sets. Shamar James is still someone worth watching closely. I think he honestly fits better as a weak side linebacker than in the middle, which describes a lot of guys in this room if we are being honest. But he has real athletic ability and he can cover a little bit too, so there could be specific packages built for him. He is still young, by the way, right around the same age as Barham, who is going to push for reps at linebacker too as a rookie. I do not think the staff hands either of them the green dot this year though, not with Overshown entrenched as the guy running that show. He could still be a real factor as a rusher and coverage piece in certain packages, and he offers a lot as a blitzer too. So, my prediction here is, Overshown takes over as the green dot guy. And honestly, if that does not work out, I think Dallas has to go look outside the building for help. If Overshown cannot handle those middle linebacker responsibilities long term, you are probably looking at bringing in a veteran from outside the organization at some point down the road. And last but not least, let's wrap this up with the safety room. And I am being very specific here when I say 2.5 spots are up for grabs, not 2, not 3. I count Caleb Downs as that half, since he is going to play a hybrid role all over the field. Jalen Thompson is basically locked in as the one true starter. And then it comes down to Malik Hooker or PJ Locke for that final spot, if that even makes sense the way I am breaking it down. Downs is going to move around depending on the package, so we will just call that a hybrid role for now. Hooker, I think, is the incumbent and the favorite heading into camp. I think he fits what Christian Parker wants to run defensively. I will be honest though, he has not been quite as impactful as I hoped coming out of college before injuries started to slow him down a bit. Still, I think he is fairly reliable at this point in his career. Locke has ties to Parker from before, and I think he can be a genuinely important special teams piece even if he is not starting. So here is my final prediction for today's show. I do not think this one is much of a battle honestly, but I am sticking with Malik Hooker as the guy who opens the season as the starter next to Downs and Thompson. That is the whole defensive picture heading into camp, guys. Corners are wide open, the edge room is deep, defensive tackle has 3 real options, the linebacker spot decides who runs this whole unit, and safety comes down to that final piece next to 2 locks. All of it funnels back to Christian Parker and how fast he can get this group playing fast and playing together. Drop your predictions down in the comments. Let me know who you think wins each one of these battles, and I will see you guys in the next video.